Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fourth and final episode with Ask an Expert. Jason Galbraith, who's a buyer real estate specialist at the Mayer-Harman Team, is going to follow through with the final segment, which is regarding after you got a purchase accepted for a property. Thanks very much for joining us today, Jason.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about what happens? You've just given your deposit, you got your dream home, you're excited, and now you got to wait for closing. What happens here?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. First off, you got an accepted offer. Breathe. You made it. Congratulations. You will feel elated, exhausted, and likely in this market, you've probably had to go in over asking, lead with your best foot forward. It can be an emotional roller coaster. So congratulations, you've made it to this stage. What you got to do at this point in time. So I do this on every offer. I'm hoping other agents do this as well, but I always negotiate a couple of visits before closing. The role of these visits are for a couple reasons. You can go in there, measure for furniture, measure for window coverings. Maybe you want to do some cosmetic changes and you want to order some things so to help expedite your timeline to make that house that you just purchased as homey as possible and as quick a time as possible once it becomes yours. But these visits are also very important for not just showing your friends and family and everything you purchase, but it's also important because I like to keep one visit for just before closing. Typically 2 or 3 days before closing is when I like to do my last visit. And the reason for this is, say there has been 60 to 90 days is our average closing time period right now in their market. Say sometime between those 60 days, there was some damage. Now, when you move, the probability of scuffing up walls, scratching floors, chipping tiles, or in my case, damaging my trim. I'm looking at trim right now. So it's these are all things that can happen, and that's not the state of the house that you purchased it in. So if it's something super minor, you can choose how you want to pursue it. But again, if it's some serious damage, it's nice to be able to lodge the complaint and make an issue and document this issue before the money changes hands. Once the money changes hands, your leverage, your ability to get any ask or that are fair becomes very difficult. And then you're in the process of chasing someone down who already has their money. So the visits are important to not only show off your purchase, but also to ensure that you're receiving the property in the same state that you purchased it. What else? So as far as the realtor's role goes after you get an accepted offer, the realtor's role decreases and your communication and your interaction is going to increase a lot more with your lawyer and with your mortgage broker. And this is very much a lawyer and mortgage broker show between an accepted offer being achieved and closing. They're getting mortgage instructions sent between the two of them. The lawyer's doing the adjustments. If there's any prepaid taxes, if there was any liens on the property that were getting remedied, they're making sure that they do their title search to make sure that, say the seller got a contractor to do some work to the house to get it ready for sale, but never paid that contractor, and the contractor put a lien on the property. The title search will ensure that you're not inheriting this additional expense and liability. You also need to set up home insurance. You're not going to get the keys to your house without the home insurance set up, and your lawyer needs to know this and needs to register it in your paperwork. So it's like anything, right? Shop around, see what rates you can get. Your realtor should be able to point you in the direction of a couple companies. Certainly in my case, I do. And then what else? Again, do not make any financial changes during this period of time. Once you have that firm accepted offer, your bank has approved your lending based on certain criteria that were in place at the time of acceptance. If you go ahead and you go change that equation by buying that dream truck, financing some furniture, racking up your credit card to go on a trip, these are bad things to do. Do not do this. This can affect closing and cause very last minute hiccups and obstacles, which can be costly if you fail to close. And that's something that people need to understand as well. A failure to close is your inability to complete your end of a legally binding contract. And there are legal ramifications. More often than not, this is where the deposit comes in. If you fail to close, you might be risking your deposit not being released back to you if you fail to close. And then start packing. You'd be amazed at how fast 60 to 90 days goes by, especially when you're doing the dealings of day-to-day life and then facilitating with all your vendors about making sure the closing happens. 60 days becomes 2 days very quickly. And it goes a long way if you're on top of the ball with packing, and it'll just make your job on closing day and moving day so much easier and less stressful. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And then so it's closing day, okay? Everyone's biting at the bit. It's 9 a.m., the lawyer's office just opened, the banks are open. You're gonna get a call any minute. Not always the case. More often than not, I find closings happen after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It can happen as late as 6 p.m., depending on the institution you're dealing with. So on closing day, no news is good news, all right? If you're calling your lawyer every 10 minutes, that is depriving them of necessarily having those important conversations that they should be having with, the institution or the other side. So you should be getting some sort of an indicator of what's happening midday. But what I am saying is refrain from the urge to want to call your lawyer every 15, 20 minutes or your realtor every 15, 20 minutes. There's a lot of steps happening behind the scenes on closing, with the transferring of funds, transferring of title, registering the deed, the whole 9 yards that are happening. And it happens in a very sequential order. So that's important to know too. But once you get that magic phone call, the house is yours, the property closed. What does that mean? That means that your name is now on title. This property is now yours, and you're responsible for this property and any liabilities associated with this property. What it also means is it's time to move in. So before COVID, more often than not, on your final lawyer visit, you would be, the keys would be handed and exchanged. And then on closing, you would go into your lawyer's office and pick up the keys. Lawyers are handling keys less and less now with COVID to reduce points of contact. What's happening more often than not now is the lawyer or your realtor will release your lockbox combination on the property, and then you can access the keys and get into the house through that means. It's also important that during this period after getting an accepted offer and closing, that you're setting up your utilities. You don't want to, on closing day, realize, oh my gosh, I don't have water, or I don't have hydro, I don't have gas. These are things that you need to be setting up in advance. And again, the Mayer-Harman team, the team I'm a part of, we do offer a service called Move Snap, and there's other services out there as well. And it just helps facilitate that process, making sure all your ducks are in a row to make sure you have as smooth of a transition and closing as possible.
Awesome. That's a lot. As always, there's so much to think about. And certainly if you want to get, professional advice from an expert, it's best not to just rely upon what you can find online. Call an expert like Jason to get the information play by play as you go through this process. Thanks so much, Jason, for joining us and giving us a full down low on what the buying process looks like in Ontario. And I really appreciate your time. And I know that the viewers definitely got some good information from you today. Where's the best place people can find you?
You can find us online at the Mayer-Harman-Team.com. I'm on Facebook, Jason Galbraith. You can, I'd say online through our website, as well as, you can always call the Century 21 Millennium office and get us paged. As a realtor, if you can't find me on a Google search, I failed. So I should be pretty easy to find. And just to touch on your point about the realtor, I'd like to close off with, people don't always remember what you say. People don't always remember what you do, but they remember how you made them feel. And if you call an agent and they make you feel that they're competent, they make you feel that they're going to look out for your best interests, and you feel like you can trust them, that goes a long way. So like you said, don't go off of just a social media page. give them a call, give them an interview, and go from there. And best of luck, guys. It's a fabulous journey. I encourage you guys, everyone, to get into the market who isn't in a position to do so. I certainly would not be betting against real estate.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jay, and you have a phenomenal day.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.